in this sea of complexities, we've got here a person from the Cabinet of Ministers. There's been a notable absentee politicians, really, but we thought we'd get this gentleman in, because not only is he a member of the Cabinet, he's also with a medical background, and even better, he is the joint Cabinet spokesperson. Dr. Ramesh Patran is here with us. Very good morning to you, Dr.
Morning,
Ramesh.
Faraz.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming here. I'm sure you're very busy. What have you been busy about? Is it about this virus?
No, actually, thank you very much for inviting me for the program at the outset. So, actually, we attend to work on the people or the electorate actually last couple of days, apart from the central work of the government. So we've been looking after the needs of the healthcare people and also of the situation at Karapitiya Teaching Hospital and also of the other peripheral hospitals of Galle district.
Right.
Whilst attending to other work at the ministerial level with the government. So we must ensure that people go through a decent lifestyle given the backdrop of these complexities. So we try and see whether we can normalize the situation in relation to day-to-day activities of the people of the country, whilst appreciating and acknowledging the fact that healthcare workers and also the security forces are doing a commendable job. So whatever the support that we can provide for them, we are doing that. We are doing our bit. We keep our fingers crossed that we should be able to come out of this dangerous situation, one of the greatest challenges in the medical history of our lifetime. So most of the other countries go through very difficult times, especially in Western Europe and also in United States of America. But fortunately, we are at a level where we could control the spread of the disease. So we think that we should be able to, come to a decent level after a few days' time.
And well, I think after nearly, today is about the 5th day, I believe, of curfew, if I'm not mistaken.
6th day.
6th day. Now then, with all this going around, I think people are beginning to gently ask the question, when is the curfew going to be lifted?
Look, for us, these 2 weeks are very critical to see the impact of curfew. By imposing curfew, what we need to see is the social distancing factor.
Right.
To see the effect of that, we'll have to see the numbers of the patients that will be coming out during next couple of days' time. So that period where we have curtailed the social interaction, now it's the 6th day. So we have seen a gradual reduction on numbers actually, but to see whether it's really effective, we'll have to wait and see for another week or so. So
right.
Afterwards we can think whether we are going towards the correct direction or not. We hope that it had worked. It had worked up to a certain level, but it has minimized, but we don't know whether we have zeroed in. So depending on the numbers during the course of next 5 or 6 days, we'll have to decide on the future actions. So
right.
if we are curtailing the numbers with minimum difficulties, we should be able to manage. If not, we'll have to have little more measures that should be adopted to ensure that people do not interact with each other. I hope that it won't happen so.
Right. Now then, also we've of course closed down the airport and so on, and some other quite a number of other countries are also doing that. Will this help?
Actually, yes, a lot of countries have taken that measure to ensure that there are no cross-border transmission of the disease. So we being an island nation, that helps a lot actually, because people do not cross from the land side. So that actually helped us a lot. Actually, what happened during the initial days, it's through the people who returned from South Korea and Italy that the spread of the disease had initiated or taken place. Because first infected person who had traveled from China, she recovered fully and went back, and afterward it's through the Italian tourists who traveled to Sri Lanka. We found the second patient of the country.
Okay.
And afterwards, we have seen significant rise in the numbers. It's because of the people who had come from Italy and also from South Korea. So with curtailing the numbers, so traveling from outside.
Yeah.
I think we should be able to manage this if there is no serious local transmission.
Right.
We hope and pray there is there are no evidence as such for the time being.
Right.
There is a serious level of local transmission has taken place, but obviously we see that there is a local transmission. That out of those cases, one third of them, 32 patients
Yeah.
out of 103, they have come from abroad, and some of them have direct contacts. Other half they have direct contacts with the people who have travelled from other countries.
Right.
But apart from that, local transmission factor wise, it's a minimum number. So we think that the disease will not spread rapidly in the country.
Right. One other factor is bothering me, and that is the information that up to this morning, 4,018 persons have been arrested by our good police for violations of the curfew. Does this mean that some of these jokers out there don't understand the seriousness? Because it was 3,700 yesterday at the same time, and now it's gone up to 4,018, 300 something.
Yes, I think it's the certain segments of the population of the people of the country have not realized the seriousness of this infection. That's partly because there are no serious cases for that matter. Only 3 are in the ICU,
Yeah.
and they haven't seen anybody dying in this country, fortunately.
Yeah.
So because that people have some of the people have not taken this matter seriously. But I get the feeling more and more people are very concerned about this condition. They don't send their children out. They are staying inside, and they don't come out unless there is a real need, which could be the real scenario. But there is, on the other hand, there is a certain segment of people who do not understand the gravity of the situation, the seriousness of the condition that the world is facing currently. So those people, they tend to roam around a bit. So we appeal people of this country again, social distancing is something mandatory, and this is one of the greatest medical challenges, as I mentioned earlier. So we have to stay at home. That's the request. I have seen the media people.
One of the greatest medical challenges in the history of our nation and also in the world, probably.
Yes, of course, yes. Of course, yes. It's one of the greatest challenges in the medical history. So I think that seriousness, that message is sent across. I think media is doing their bit in relation to sending the message across. So it's a collective responsibility of ours. So the doctors and the other medical staffers, they are doing their bit. So the armed forces, they are trying their level best to ensure that they provide the facilities for the isolation. So as people of the country, if you're not contributing actively, it's our duty that we stay at home and support the activities initiated by the government and the other healthcare workers to ensure that we stop the spread of the disease.
Doctor, one other thing, these figures I obtained the day before yesterday, these are figures by police area, and the total cases, suspicions included, and very specific about that, was just under 20,000, 19,000 and something, out of which the people confirmed infected was in the 100, 103, like that. So it looks like around roughly about a small percentage is what is getting who are infected, and the bulk of the other 19,000, whatever, 900 or something, they were all sort of self-quarantined. Does that spell good news to you?
Actually, we have managed to trace, almost every one of them in relation to contact tracing. Yes,
Oh.
so I'm referring to 19,000.
Right.
So the one-to-one contacts, government with the help of the intelligence agencies managed to track down everybody,
Right.
except 14 people. You had seen the advertisement in the television, so it's 14 people, including some children.
What has happened to them?
I think some of the parents, probably the owners or the parents of those children, they were a little frightened to keep them in the quarantine centers. That's why they have taken the children away. But we have managed to, find out about information about them as well. So we have traced almost every one of them. This is the good thing about the
yes,
intelligence service.
It's excellent intelligence servicing.
Yeah, it's excellent actually. So, but those are the first, first contacts, and the contacts are theirs. But if the disease starts spreading, that's the only concern. Say when it goes to the third level. So we have seen the first level contacts, or the infected people, and the immediate contacts. So the numbers, and also from the returnees from different countries. So it has gone up to 19,000. But if the disease starts spreading from that level to the next level, then the tracing would become that much difficult. That's why we need to ensure that we stay at home and see the numbers.
Right.
So that's why these 2 weeks are critical in relation to that. If we manage this scenario, we should be able to come to a very decent level in relation to controlling of the disease.
Now, when the police go and when the police go and find, they trace a household and they say, right, okay, you've been exposed, so you better self-quarantine. How can the neighbors and other people be told? How do they know that this house is a bit of a question mark house?
There is a notification, you must have seen. The PHIs, public health inspectors, and the medical officers of health, they go with the police people and they paste a notification on the outside of the wall, so everybody knows. So it's nobody can enter that premises. So other outsiders are prohibited from entering, and there's a notification outside, and people also get to know. So the outsiders, the other people, neighborhood, once they get to know, they also ensure that others, the people from the suspected house, they don't go outside. They also get together and ensure that they don't come out.
It's good.
It's good in a way.
In a way, it's good. You're not really naming them, but you are putting them on notice.
Yeah,
you're giving other people a notice as well.
Yes, that's right. Yes, people get to know, and also every day the public health inspector, with the support of the medical health of the area, medical officer of health, MOH, with that help, they visit on daily basis and check the conditions of the patients, whether they are coughing, whether they have fever, whether they have symptoms of the disease. So there is a ongoing surveillance mechanism, which is really good. That's why the Sri Lankan health sector is that much appreciated all around the world, especially by World Health Organization. So we deliver maximum with lesser inputs monetarily. So we don't spend that much of money, but we have a very dedicated force in relation to healthcare. So they do visit the public health midwives, the public health inspectors. They go from door to door and check the scenarios, and they report back. So we have excellent system of tracing and following it up. So
tracing and following it up.
Yes.
Very, very important matters. Excellent news. And then, of course, Doctor, I have got a thing that I've been rabbiting on about since last Monday, and I'm still puzzled, and I was wondering if you, as a member of the Cabinet, I'll ask you about the Cabinet in a minute, because I must ask about the well-being of the Cabinet as well. But before that, I want to ask you, what about KDU? Why is it appears to me, seated on the outside, and following the news, it appears to me that there is some form of resistance from KDU to utilize. The reason I'm going on about KDU is because I'm told it has got 60 ICU beds. Not only 60 ICU beds, but those ICU beds are actually individual rooms. So they are really state of the art.
No, actually, there are no issue at all. If government needs, it's actually the whole project is spearheaded by His Excellency the President. It's under him. So even the Kottala Defence University and also the hospital was constructed under the instruction and of then Defence Secretary, His Excellency the President. So there is no issue at all. If need be, we should be able to take it over and manage our patients. But for the time being, we are concentrating our efforts through the IDH, Infectious Disease Control Hospital, because all the facilities, all the expertise, medical people, they are trained to do that job at that particular facility. So we still have the capacity, and we are managing it well. So they are not panicked. They are providing the maximum support. So they are taking care of the patients at fullest level. So and also we have acquired Homagam Hospital and also part of the Angoda Mental Health Facility. So expansion wise, it's convenient for us to manage. Health system wise, it's convenient for us to manage at those levels. But in case if the numbers increase, we hope it won't happen so So we can acquire any medical facility for that matter if we need more ICU beds. So there is no question. So if we need to acquire Kotalava Defence University, we'll surely do that.
There's no...
For the time being, there is no issue as such.
Right.
There is no issue, yes.
Okay. Now then, I better ask you about the well-being of the cabinet. How well are members of the cabinet adhering to this social distancing? Are they having parties on the side and so on, or what? What's going on?
No, I don't think so. I don't think.
Are they behaving?
Of course, everybody is in a very serious mood.
Right.
We are taking all the precautions to ensure that people of the country
are they keeping their social distancing?
Of course, yes,
right.
social distancing.
Okay.
But there are certain times that you will have to move around to ensure that,
How
to
was
see
the
that
cabinet
mechanisms.
meeting?
No, actually, so we maintain the distance actually.
How?
So there is, fortunately, we have only 15 people in the cabinet.
Okay.
So we have space.
Right.
In yesteryears, they used to accommodate about 30-40 people. So we have enough and more space.
Even greater yesteryears, there was about 105.
Yeah, that's right. That's with the state ministers actually.
Yes, okay.
So the cabinet of ministers. So the numbers are restricted. So we have ample space to keep the distance. So we're taking precautions.
The other thing I wanted to ask you is, President Nandasena Gotabaya Rajapaksa, just before this, he went through surgery and so on. And so particularly, he must feel particularly vulnerable to this latest thing. Then we have Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who isn't exactly a spring chicken anymore, but he's going on as well. But what I'm saying is they are elderly, they're older people, and therefore they are more susceptible to the risk. How well are they controlling all these things? How well is the President and the Prime Minister coping?
No, they are health-wise, they are 100% normal.
Right.
So it's a general thing. Certain times you have to undergo surgeries. All of us certain times in life.
This I know, but
yeah.
To me it seems almost unfortunate that he had the surgery and then he became the president. The poor man didn't have enough time to recuperate and attend to his roses and things like that.
From the looks of it, you can see that he's 100% normal.
Right.
And he immediately after recovering from his surgery, he started his campaigning. And he managed it very, very well, actually. So all credit to him, and he's physically a very fit person.
That is what I was aiming at.
Yes.
Did that help, the fact that he was a fit guy before his surgery, and therefore did it help?
Of course, yes. It helps everyone for that matter.
Right.
So if you're physically and mentally strong, so that helps to overcome any difficulty, the mentally or physically.
Right.
So that must have helped him a lot. So he became 100% normal long time ago, even before the election.
Right.
So, but on the other hand, if you look at the infected patients, so significant number are from 40 to 50 age group. So that's a different sign actually.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
So that shows the socializing factor actually.
Yeah.
It's 40 to 50. That group is the highest level.
Right.
Considering out of the 102 patients.
Yeah. Out of the 102.
That shows the vulnerability in relation to socializing factor. They move around, so they have higher chance of catching the disease. On the other hand, children and the elderly people, they haven't moved out. Probably they have taken notice of this. They were not allowed to go out, so they were staying indoors. But on the other hand, when in relation to developing complications, it's the elderly population and patients with comorbid factors. Those are more susceptible to develop this acute form of severe pneumonia and the lung fibrosis.
Right.
So that's why when they develop the disease, it's going to be a little difficult. But on the other hand, we have seen the significant number of cases, the patients rather.
Right.
So they are from that active middle-age group. I think it's because of socializing. They've gone around, they've contracted the disease.
So they're not paying enough attention.
Probably.
Now then, on Newsline Live, we encourage you to send us your questions by SMS, please. 0772 300 305. And our control room is hot off the mark. Wonderful, isn't it? Because they've got the number up on the screen. Well done, boys. And, thank you. I keep thanking them, but honestly, it's absolutely wonderful that everybody here has turned up and at grave, in certain, let's say, challenging circumstances, they're still putting out the news and the information, which is so very valuable to everyone. So once again, thank you, and we do acknowledge each and every one of you, including the young girl who just fell asleep at her, at her table because she was so tired after such a long shift. So thank you to everyone. And obviously, Dr. Ramesh, we must acknowledge the humanity with which our police and armed forces are policing this whole issue. Because when we looked at the video clips from India, they were being caned and all sorts of things were happening to these people in India. I know that it's a different dynamic. They've got
billions of people.
Billions,
1.3.
Yeah, 1.3 billion people. But really, isn't it wonderful that our forces are showing so much of humanity?
Of course, yes, we salute them. It's because of them we managed to set up these quarantine centers. So certain times they managed to complete the project within 48 hours.
Right.
So it's with their dedication. So commander of armed forces, so all three forces, they have done tremendous work during last couple of weeks.
Right.
And we salute them on behalf of the nation. So we need their support. They have come forward at the time. And when there's a crisis strikes all the time, during time of war and also during time of tsunami, now once we are facing this grave health crisis, they come forward to help the nation.
Right.
So all of us have that gratitude. I think as a nation, we salute them. I think they will provide more to the country to uplift the social and economic stance of the country once this crisis is over.
Good. I've got lots of messages. Let me take one or two here. One says, how is the tea industry affected? No tea auctions, etc. Will there be, how bad will the adverse effect be?
Actually, that is 100% true. We've been going through a bit of a bad times in relation to climatic conditions.
Right.
So the tea smallholders are really badly affected because of rising temperature. So yesterday also we moved a cabinet paper to provide some relief to the tea smallholders. From one side, their crop yield has come lower, become lesser, and on the other hand, there is a crisis in relation to tea auction. No, not a crisis rather, but there is a, certain tea manufacturers, the factory owners, they are a little reluctant to go ahead manufacturing their stuff.
Right.
So lesser stocks come to the auction. Auction wise also people are a little concerned because of the congestion.
Yeah.
If a lot of people get together, they are also a little concerned about their health activities. And on the other hand, there is a, demand has become little lesser because of the world crisis.
Right.
So yes, we go through a bad patch, but we should be able to come on top after this crisis. Hopefully the rainfall, we'll get decent rainfall during the month of April. And also government is also trying to provide them with some relief. So we're going to subsidize. There is a loan scheme that is introduced by the government. So and they will have a grace period in relation to repaying of their debts. So that government has already announced.
This is for specifically for the tea smallholders.
Well, for everyone. Everyone, yes.
Everyone as in the people.
Yes, including personal loans.
Right.
We have a moratorium for 6 months.
Right.
And also the tea smallholders can apply for fresh loans with a grace period of 3 months at a very low interest rate. And also government is going to provide free plants for whatever the numbers, the disease plants.
Oh, okay.
So, and also other given this backdrop, we have to look at all the sectors, including people, those who have lost their livelihood during this crisis. So government is proposing a package, a relief sort of a package in relation to day-to-day living, which should be extended to almost everyone if possible. So even tea smallholders would also be given that opportunity for this short period of time. So after that, we keep our fingers crossed. Some or the other, we'll have to come back to normalcy. For that, we need the help of the people.
Yeah. Now then, we've also got this question. It keeps coming every day. We get the same kind of question, which is that because of the curfew, people can't go out. They can't get their essential items, and therefore when the curfew is lifted, there's absolute chaos inside. Whilst they're nicely queuing up and paying attention to the social distancing, when they get inside, then there's I don't want to keep going on about Manning Market, but it happened in the supermarkets around near our office as well, and so on. How are you proposing to change that?
Well, there was no established mechanism to deliver the mobile services. That's going to be novelty actually.
Yeah.
So most of the wholesale establishments, they find it little difficult to manage it this time to give, to distribute all the requirement of the people on all the areas. But
Yeah.
we attend to that now.
Right.
So this crisis more in the urban areas we have seen during last couple of days.
Yeah.
So we are now with the support of the SATOSA,
Yeah.
the wholesale corporation, cooperative wholesale corporation, and also with the support of the other main distributors. We requested them to come forward to establish their mobile services.
Yeah.
So hopefully that mechanism will, it's already taken place. That will become more established during next couple of days. But for the time being, we request the people of this country, you have to go through little difficulties. We acknowledge that, but you have to probably think of a lesser consumption pattern. You'll have to simplify your lifestyle a little. You might not get everything what you want. Now we have given the permission for the pharmacies to keep their shops open during the day, and everybody can go to the pharmacies once they show the request letter from the doctor, or from they can show their clinic card.
Yeah.
That facility we have given, and we have get some of the shops to keep open during the daytime also to facilitate customers. So all in all, we are going through little difficulties, yes, but I request the people of this country, it's not going to be a long time. For the time being, we have to think of simplifying our lifestyles. You might not get everything what you want,
Yeah.
but try to be happy with whatever you have. There are people who don't have anything to eat at this particular moment.
Yes, and
So-
my heart goes out to them because, somebody called me yesterday and I said, but, these lorries are coming around, so stay home and then you can meet the lorries.
Yes.
And she said, that's true, but I need money. I haven't got money to buy. And also I noticed yesterday, for example, around Slave Island, in accommodating, shall we say, they were turning their blind eye, they were giving it the old Nelsonian eye, because little shops were open and people were scurrying around buying bits and pieces, including a fishmonger and some vegetables and so on. It was a wonderful community village spirit there, a little, a real community spirit. And I found it until about 11 o'clock whilst I was observing these things, the police were accommodating. And then they came and said, look, come on, hurry up, because there's a curfew. Is that all part of the plan, or is that somebody acting with humanity at a local level?
I think yes, they're acting with humanity. So we have to be a little lenient. We have to, face the current situation in relation to those issues at the peripheral levels. So yes, they are accommodating, which is good. So this is not hard and fast sort of a thing when it comes to the movement, but we request the people. That's what I said.
Yeah.
People should understand what's happening in the country, what's happening all around the world. So that's why we repeatedly request for them to stay at home. But if they really need to come out, government has provided that opportunity as well. But coming back to the question of poorest of poor, those who are the lowest social strata of the country,
What are you
some of
doing
the
about
recipients.
them? Yeah.
So we have given them we have given the chance for them to take 10,000 rupees from their account
From
two
the
installments.
Yes,
Some of the recipients.
Yeah.
So and apart from that, we have estimated numbers of the families, those who do not have sufficient income from one side, and also do not have the benefit of having this Samurdhi benefit.
Yeah.
So for them, government is looking at that. So we are designing a program at least once a week.
Yeah.
Yesterday cabinet decided that.
Right.
So probably during the course of next week we should be able to provide them with some relief.
Through the
this is
SATOS
coming at
outlets, or?
yeah, most probably. So this is coming at a huge cost actually. It's government is also finding it a little difficult. We didn't have the chance of
How are you
holding
raising the
budget.
money?
Yeah, that's the issue actually. So there is a little saving from the money that we spend for oil. So that's the only consolation factor here. But as a responsible government, we need to look at the needs of the people. So with difficulties we are managing.
Right.
So hopefully we should be able to come out of this situation, for which we need support of the people.
That's wonderful, but I at the risk of being told off, but I was wondering whether the government is going to raise more money by issuing bills and bonds.
No, there is no plan as such for the time being. Fortunately, we have been offered 2 credit lines from India and China,
Yes.
400 million US dollars from India, and also another 500 million US dollars from China.
I'm told
So,
that
and also
another 700 is coming from China. Is that true?
most probably it's not confirmed as yet.
Right.
So and also on the other hand, the government is curtailing its expenditure.
Right.
So we are trying to balance this the trade balance game.
Yeah.
So we are curtailing imports. Government has taken the policy decision to curtail imports. The exports are also affected a little, but hopefully consumption patterns will return to normalcy after the crisis.
Right.
So there will be a the growth sprout for which out of which the country will benefit.
Indeed.
So hopefully by the second quarter of this year, so we should be able to come to normalcy if everything falls in line.
Indeed. Many more questions to ask Dr. Ramesh Patrana, who will very kindly come on the program. And Newsline Live is into its extended version today. We hope to finish at 7:45, so we've got about approximately 15 more minutes, or 14. Now then, many questions, Dr. Ramesh. I trust that you'll be all right till 7:45.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you very much. Can we give a special concession to poor people who pawn their jewellery, example up to 25,000, the interest can come down to, say, 10%?
Well, we didn't specifically talk about pawning of the jewellery, but all the personal loans are under this category.
Right.
So we have given that freedom for the leasing activities.
Right.
Those who have leased out the vehicles, including trishows, lorries, and the buses, and so on and so forth. So they have given this chance of not paying that for a period of 6 months. So and also, but we didn't specifically talk about the jewellery, pawning of jewellery.
Right.
We can talk about that as well. So the relief is coming in different forms.
Right.
So including utility bills and also.
Yes, we saw that happen earlier. Then what about this business? We've almost everybody's forgotten that we were in election mode. All right? So therefore, this question. Bearing in mind that there is a sort of election mode as well in between all this, which thankfully that's sort of gone down a bit. But nevertheless, when it comes to distributing these dry rations in various areas, it is conceivable that maybe a politician from not that area will go there as well. Or not necessarily. Let's talk about the politicians. Do you think that the government can get, because then the other guy whose area it is might get a bit cheesed off. He might say, no, I don't want you coming here because you might get my vote. Is that how does one control that part of it?
No, actually that's why government has specifically asked the government agents of the particular district to take, spearhead the activities.
Okay.
So it's to the government agents, and certain times the governors of the different provinces, they also get involved.
Sure. So should politicians get involved in this or not?
We didn't see actually, apart from the cabinet of ministers, the cabinet ministers, we are still functioning.
Yeah.
We have the legal right to participate. Apart from that, the local government bodies have a significant role to play.
Right.
So we can't keep them away.
No.
So they are the part of the mechanism. So we get their help as well in relation to distribution, and also to the disinfect the government officers and also the other public places. So apart from that, we haven't seen politicians or the candidates of the general election in Galle district. We didn't see anybody involved in these activities. Well, they come forward on their own to support people. That you can't stop.
No.
Which is needed. The people or the candidates from both sides or all sides come forward in their capacity to support people of the country, which we should appreciate. But apart from that, there is no involvement of the candidates in relation to government mechanism. This is His Excellency the President has given clear instructions in relation to that. It's through the governors and also through the government agents that government will deploy whatever the facilities to the people.
Indeed. And another one from somebody who says, I think they should send vegetables in lorries manned by the army to the poorer areas, as these people do not have cars to get to a supermarket, nor the money, and by the time they come to the queue is a mile long.
Yes, we are trying to establish that mechanism, as I mentioned to you, in the urban areas. But on the other hand, when it comes to the peripheral areas, the need for those vegetables and the related stuff, which could be sourced through the local areas, there are no significant demand as such. So this goes back. So this comes back to the question: we are not too late to establish this local, the production mechanism. Government has been it's been very keen even before this disease started spreading in the country. We need to have a mechanism to grow these vegetables at the village level. So we had that ambitious program during 2010 and 2015. His Excellency Basil Rajapaksa spearheaded that program as the Economic Development Minister. We distributed a lot of plants and also seeds to ensure and to stimulate local growth of these vegetables and the other stuff that we can produce at the village level. We have to come back now. We are thinking of, from a concept of globalization, we have seen the importance of localization now. So we must ensure that whatever we can produce at the village level, we must encourage and start producing. So the vegetables are, we can categorize that into that group. So on long-term basis now, the world is facing a crisis, and also food crisis would be something very significant given the backdrop of India and China. They harbor 2.5 billion population. This region of the world has 60% of the world population. So there's increasing demand for food. So it's never too late to do the right thing. I think we have to agricultural, that base we have had for many ages, we have to further strengthen. We must ensure that we produce whatever possible at the village level. That concept we have to install again.
I think it's about time in that case that you lady and gentlemen in cabinet, do you have a lady in the cabinet? You do.
Yes,
indeed,
Honourable Minister of Health.
Health, indeed.
Yes.
So the lady and the gentleman in the cabinet, it's about time that you'll put into action your words and finish off the Umaoya project, so that parts of Monoragala, that district over there, there's over 5,000 hectares of land waiting for water, so that they can cultivate and so on. And from what I know, there was about only around 50 to 60 million dollars left to pay. And if they did that, then you'd have the water going along there and finish it off. Is that something, is that like a priority or not?
Of course, yes. All those water projects and also the irrigation related work, the utmost priority. Unfortunately, it's not a political statement, but a lot of work had been stagnant in relation to development work.
Indeed.
So during the last 5 years, we given the priority. The drinking water, providing drinking water would be a prime and very important issue in time to come, because we have seen this, the changes in the climatic pattern. We go through serious drought spells. So even now we experience that. So people find it extremely difficult, one side for drinking, and also on the other hand for their agricultural activities we don't have water. So water management is something really important. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, people of this country wanted to have electricity. Now we have electricity every village, it's 99% coverage household wise. But now we face the challenge in relation to drinking water. So providing water, purified water, is a challenge. We need to ensure that we have sufficient sources. If not, we'll have to look for them. We will have to have mechanisms to ensure that we provide water, because that is one of the gravest things that we face in Gold District. We abundant. We have a lot of water, but people do not have sufficient drinking water, even though we have sources. So we have to look into that, including Umaoya project and also the other.
Yes, because Umaoya, it's actually threefold, isn't it? There's drinking water, there's agricultural water, and then there's a power station.
Yeah, that's right.
By the way, because again, this is not a political thing. I'm just asking the question. You just mentioned Basil Rajapaksa, and I've been asked many questions from the public as to how he fits in to this whole equation. We acknowledge his efforts and so on, but we are wondering whether in some time in the future there's going to be some court case in which he'll be charged for doing what he's doing now, because he had no authority. What is the authority that is conferred on him?
He's been appointed as a President's Special Envoy to look into this, the
so
disaster management activities.
Yes, we're not going to find him being arrested in
No,
5 years' time?
of course not. So he has
Right.
this legal authority to do that.
Right. Because you know what happened to him with the Samudi thing.
Yes.
You know, so there's a case going on, so
Yeah,
can't say
yeah,
much
that's
about
right. True. Yes. Yes.
So, okay, so he's the president's special envoy. There you go. For all those people who sent and asked me that question, that's the answer to that question. Now then, we have to ask you, because obviously you're a member of the cabinet, and we must ask you this question. At cabinet, did you all discuss the matter of elections?
No, we didn't talk about the elections. Actually, nobody speaks about that given this the serious scenario, evolving scenario in relation to health issue.
Yeah.
So nobody questioned to ask about election. So it's up to the chairman of the election commission to decide dates actually.
Okay.
It's not under our purview anyway.
Right.
So anyway, we'll have to wait some time to see how this...
But given the
whole-
urgency of the situation, does it make sense to have a national government until the elections?
Well, for the time being, we can manage it. We have a decent mechanism in place,
Right.
and never mind the national government. We have formed that committee to ensure that we get all the ideas from the political
So
leaders of the
all-party
political party, all party commission.
Yeah.
So that facility is now provided. So yes, we'll take all the good ideas from everyone, not only from the political leaders and also the religious dignitaries and also other people, civic society. So all of this can come forward.
Is there real cooperation from the other parties?
I think everyone is supportive of whatever the initiatives government has taken, and also there had been little criticisms in relation to certain activities.
Yeah.
So and also if there are decent criticisms, yes, we will take them. Whatever the constructive criticisms they will bring forward,
Yeah.
we will try and incorporate into our program. So
Right.
this is nothing political.
Okay. Rains have started. Are we prepared for a dengue outbreak?
Well, yes, management-wise, the Sri Lankan healthcare workers again we started managing dengue really well. So about 3 to 4 years ago, I think we had little mismanaged when it comes to the clinical management of the condition, but we had very good example from Thailand,
Right.
where our clinicians were trained in relation to fluid balance and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So since then, if the patients had been admitted to the hospital early enough,
Yeah.
lives were saved. So yes, I think in relation to management of dengue, our the medical staff, the doctors and the nurses, they are quite capable. But it's a concern. It's a concern in the tropical region. Once
Right.
the rain starts, the numbers can come up again.
And another thing we want to, somebody is asking is, with all the money that is now not being spent on the election campaign, could this money not be donated towards the purchasing of more ICU beds, because Sri Lanka only has 580?
Well, there is a fund started by the president with 100 million Sri Lankan rupees. So we have seen donations coming forward. So yes, of course, at our level, we also, without publicity, a lot of people are doing certain social work in relation to looking after the people. Yeah, and when it comes to the question is about the elections, well, we have not been, there have been cases or the people, candidates, who have spent millions of rupees. But we have been very conservative in spending money because we are not very rich people for that matter. So yes, for the elections also we need to spend some money. But in the interim period, is a request if there is a need from the social segments in relation to providing whatever the necessities, yeah, we come forward surely.
You come from a political background, if you like, and therefore I don't know whether you would fall into this category, but is it an expensive business, getting re-elected?
Because of my political background, father had laid the foundation.
Yes, that's
so
what I meant.
That's because of that, it's not a costly affair. People know my
So
father.
this is your father's legacy to you?
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. It's not costly because of father, but for a newcomer, I must say it's a little difficult because campaigning district-wise means it's a big area. So you have to go and address these people, the transportation, the posters, other leaflets. The print media is very costly. Digital media is equally costly. You go to social media, so you need to spend a lot of money.
Okay.
So it's very difficult for a newcomer to come and establish names unless they have, some wherewithal. So they need to spend money. That's very unfortunate.
Indeed. We're going to finish the program off with this last question. Thank you ever so much. There are quite literally hundreds of questions. Thank you. Will there be a scarcity of very essential drug, especially the ones that need to be imported?
The medical supplies wise, I don't think there is anything for us to worry about. So there is a mechanism in place. So, and the manufacturing wise, world over, there is a growing demand, but that's for the supplies in relation to management of these patients. So the medicament wise, I don't think there will be any scarcity.
Right.
We should be able to get the required amounts from the manufacturers.
Right.
And also in this backdrop, I think again we have to come back to the same scenario. We'll have to start thinking of manufacturing more drugs in Sri Lanka. So we're manufacturing at the moment, but it's about 20% of the social or the local need.
Yeah.
So we have to further strengthen the local manufacturing. And also we have seen, it's like the silver lining or the dark cloud. The local manufacturers who have come forward to manufacture masks. We have been importing masks from other countries, at least raw material. So in this backdrop, with the scarcity, people have started manufacturing masks and also other personal protective equipment. We've seen some engineers trying to manufacture ventilators in Sri Lanka, like ICU beds. So those are the things, those are the good things. So the local manufacturing, and also we have to encourage that. They're coming forward to do that.
Wonderful. Dr. Ramesh Patrina, they've indulged me and we've really run out of time. But I'd like to say thank you very, very much indeed, for it's been a very informative 46 minutes. Thank you very much indeed. I wish you well in your work to flatten the curve. And is there something that you can finish the program off by telling the people directly into your camera?
Actually, as we mentioned repeatedly, Sri Lanka and the world is going through the biggest health crisis of our lifetime. So the healthcare workers of this country, they are doing their level best to ensure that the disease does not spread and the people, those who are infected, are cured. What we could do from our side is to stay at home and support them. So stay at home, maintain the social distance. Thank you very much.
And that's the way it was on Newsline Live. Thank you very much for taking the time to tune in, and do follow the advice that has been given to you by Dr. Ramesh Patrina, member of the Cabinet. And that's the way it was. Take care, and remember, in this we are all together as one. God bless.